Well, I remember we lived in the old neighborhood. It was called the West Side, the old West Side, where all the Jewish people lived. And it was, you know, we didn't know any different or better. This was the way we lived. And I started school there and went all through grammar school, high school on the West Side. I even got married there. Never moved away until after I was married. But that's all we knew. That's where all the Jewish people were, and we were happy. We had our life. I had wonderful parents. My father, an angel, the best in the world. You know, the Jewish people say a malach. He was a darling. My father was born in Russia. We used to help him study English. He used to go to school and come home with books, and we used to sit, my sister, my brother, and I used to sit with him. Actually, mostly me, because I was the oldest. And listen to him repeat what he learned, what he needed to know. He tried very hard, and he was good at it. My father was the best person who ever lived. He really was. The sweetest man who ever lived. And I felt very lucky that he was mine. And he had a sister who was just as dear and special as he, my aunt. A little lady, real little, like my size. Esther, my Aunt Esther. My mother was a wonderful lady too. My mother was English. I think she was born in England or somewhere, Scotland. My mother was born in Scotland. But so she always spoke English, but she knew Jewish too because her family was Orthodox. And I had a great childhood. I didn't ever meet my father's parents, but my mother's parents lived in Chicago, and they were in business. They had a candy store on the old west side of Madison Avenue. Our best fun was to go there and get candy. And they gave us free access. Whatever you want, take it. They were very dear, very dear. All the grandchildren, when we were little, you know. And my grandfather used to write books. He was a real, you don't remember him. He was a very smart man, very self-educated, terrific. Philip Sukert. And, you know, when I had my own apartment, when I was married and had children, and after my grandmother died, and he was alone, he used to walk for miles to my house every single day. And we sat there. I used to give him breakfast and lunch and dinner, and then he walked home again. But I was happy to have him. He was good company, and the kids loved him. I met my husband at a wedding. He was there. He didn't leave me alone, you know. He was a wonderful dancer. That's what impressed me. And he was handsome. What I used to call the Genevische Egelach. You know what that means? Genevische means ganef. You know what ganef is? A thief. Sly eyes. Something like that. I don't know how it literally translated in English. But that was it. But he was a devil. That was it. Really mischievous, full of the devil all the time. And he was a few months younger than me. I was unhappy, very unhappy about that. But some things you have to overlook, you know. You can't have it always. Immediately, I started to see him. I had a very wonderful Jewish wedding. My father had saved all his life to make me a wedding, and we had the best. We had 200 people. My father was active in organization work, and my mother, they all had a lot of friends. And I had a big wedding. My in-laws were extremely Orthodox, so everything had to be, you know, just right. But I had very nice, my father-in-law was the dearest, sweetest man in the world. They were lovely people. And they were thrilled that I married their son. They were thrilled because they thought I would be good for him and straighten him out, and I did, because he was kind of wild. Every curse word in the world he knew, and he spit it out when he was angry. I don't know where he learned those words. He was a good man. He was a good man. He had just a temper, you know. But it's okay. Everybody has things that aren't the best part of them. Extremely talented, an artist, brilliant head. He could figure out anything, do anything, make anything that was possible for a human person to do, he could do. He really did. And I expected it of him, because I knew that he could do it. He was a very good husband. He worked hard, he made a good living, he took wonderful care of his family, all of us. And my kids grew up wonderful kids. I had 2 children, Iris and Steve, that's all. We got married, Ashley and I got married in 1940. 9 months later, we knew he was going to be called into the Army. So I got pregnant soon after we got married. So they didn't call him into the Army until after Iris was born, which was easier. And Iris was born at Mount Sinai Hospital. And then, in fact, they waited. They didn't call him until Steve was born. They're both born. Or Steve was born after he was in the Army. I was pregnant when they called him. It was very hard to live like that. My parents were wonderful. They were good to me. And you know, people would say, oh, I'm afraid to touch my kid. I might hurt him. I wasn't afraid. I kissed them, every piece of them, all over them. They were just so delicious. Each of them. It was the most wonderful experience of my life to hold each of those babies in my arms. We always tried to teach them what's right and wrong. Every parent does that. But they did turn out to be the best I could have dreamed of. They really did. My grandchildren are wonderful. I have never in my life been disappointed in any one of them, anything they ever did or said or believed. Never anything. My children are wonderful, and they raise their children to be good people. And for that, I feel very lucky. Well, how could you not smile? They're my life. They're my dynasty. Stacy was the first. Stacy was my first grandchild, weren't you, Stacy? She was the joy of my life. I couldn't stop kissing her, every piece of her. I undressed her. And then Ronnie. I did the same with Ronnie, too. I have 6 grandchildren. 4 of them are married with children. I am most grateful for being able to live as long as I have, to see as much as they have grown up, to see several of my grandchildren married with babies. To me, that's all that's worth living for. What else have I got? I just have them. They're my life. Everything they do and accomplish, it's something so wonderful. It's like I did it myself. Because I love them all so much. When I see them, I light up. Any one of them. And I always have told them from the day they were born, you're the joy of my life. I hope they'll be smart and successful and happy and have a lovely family like I have had. Really, that they can look back on and remember. You know what? That's the best I could wish for them. Just let them be well and happy. And if you have a good family, you're going to always have that contentment. If you have family that you love and you enjoy being with, that's everything. That's everything.